It's time for news from the Central Valley. I'm Frankie Tovar.
I'm Angelina Martin.
Today is March 9th, 2018, and we took last week off. The flu bug hit the 209 Headlines podcast, but we're back, and these are the top 209 headlines from the past week. We'll start with the most recent headline, this one published just yesterday on March 8th out of the Manteca Bulletin and written by Jason Campbell. A Manteca Unified School District student was killed walking home from August Note Elementary School. The victim has been identified as 9-year-old Brianna Mua. Mua was walking home from the Western Ranch School with a parent when she was struck by a motorist near the intersection of Isho Goto Street and Caroline Weston Boulevard just after 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 6th. The adult female motorist who struck the young girl stopped at the scene, thank God, and witnesses performed CPR before the fourth grader was airlifted to UC Davis Medical Center. She passed away several hours later. A GoFundMe account has been set up to help with the end-of-life preparations with a set goal of $50,000. They have nearly $16,000 raised so far. Not bad for 320 donors in just 2 days. We will obviously link to that GoFundMe campaign in the description below if you want to help out. To read more about the story, including quotes from the Manteca Unified School District and the victim's relative, visit mantecabulletin.com.
So sad.
Very sad, and obviously the most recent one, so we're going to lead with that. Condolences to that young girl's family members.
Yeah, it's so important to pay attention, and I don't know obviously what happened, but just be a safe driver in school zones because there are little kids running around everywhere. So be a safe driver and don't drink and drive like this next man in our next headline, which comes out of Turlock. This one was written by Sabra Stafford at the Turlock Journal. 34-year-old Jose Arriaga Partida is facing criminal charges after causing a collision while allegedly drunk and then fleeing the scene. The crash happened at about 5 a.m. Tuesday on Highway 165 near Echo Street. California Highway Patrol said that the collision was a direct result of Partida passing another vehicle in an unsafe manner. He was driving a 2007 Lexus northbound on the highway behind another vehicle when he attempted to pass that car by moving into the left lane. His car then struck a 2003 Nissan that was making a left turn onto Echo Street. Partida fled the scene and returned to his home. Great idea, Partida, where officers were able to locate and arrest him. He was booked into the Merced County Jail on charges of felony driving under the influence and hit and run. The driver of the Nissan was a 55-year-old Hilmar man who complained of back pain, but he sought his own medical treatment. So that's good that he wasn't hurt, in a drunk driving car accident like that. You never know. Partida sustained minor injuries from the crash and was treated at the hospital before being booked into jail, where his bail was set at $210,000. You can read this story online at theturlockjournal.com or in the print edition of the Turlock Journal.
210,000, is that the number you said?
Yeah.
That's outrageous. And obviously we know that had he not fled, that probably would have been a significantly lower amount.
Right, yeah. No one was hurt. He would have probably just got slammed with a DUI and reckless driving. I don't know. But
sounds like he lucked out. Had that Hilmar man died, his sentence may have been, obviously he's not sentenced yet, but the charges would have been greater.
Right.
And you would think his sentence would be greater as well.
Yeah.
Or so you would think. And that brings us to our next headline. Delhi driver sentenced to 1 year for teen's death. And another case of DUI driving, this time causing a death. And this comes from the Turlock Journal and is written by Sabra Stafford. This is an update. Some of you might remember the story from January in which a 17-year-old Delhi woman was struck and killed by 33-year-old Michael Lindo. Well, Lindo was finally sentenced for the January 23rd collision that killed Jennifer Arroyo, and much to the surprise of many, he was given only 1 year in jail. Lindo was initially arrested by the CHP on suspicion of first-degree murder, DUI causing great bodily harm and or death, and gross vehicular manslaughter, crimes that would come with a sentence far greater than 1 year. But after reviewing the evidence, the Merced County District Attorney's Office decided not to pursue felony charges because it did not believe a conviction would be reached. This one boggles my mind because he already had 2 previous DUI convictions on his record, but apparently he was given 4 field sobriety tests and failed only 1, and he blew a .05 when he took a breathalyzer test, which is below the .08 limit that makes you legally drunk. So you can read more about the story as well as the past articles about Michael Lindo at turlockjournal.com, and all those stories written by Sabra Stafford.
That's a shame because, that family's already lost their daughter. The only kind of solace they were going to get was through this sentencing. And for it to only be 1 year is just no justice to the family, in my opinion.
Well, He fled the scene, but apparently he returned to the scene soon enough, and he called the cops, so he didn't get a felony hit and run. But still, he has 2 DUIs on his record. He failed one of the 3. I mean, I don't get it. And a woman's dead. It's not even a woman, a girl, really. Let's be real. 17 years old. You might as well be, a little kid.
Well, she is. Regardless, he drank alcohol and he got into a car, got behind the wheel, drove it, and killed someone. He should face the repercussions.
Well, he lucked out in terms of sentencing, but if he's a decent, normal human being, he will, have to shoulder this burden for the rest of his life.
Right. He lucked out on his sentencing. A Turlock neighborhood lucked out Tuesday morning when a mortar round that was found in a home turned out to be non-explosive. So yeah, this is our next headline, again out of Turlock, and of course written by Sabre Stafford from the Turlock Journal. The bomb squad was called out to a Turlock home and evacuations were ordered on Tuesday morning after a search by Turlock police investigators turned up a mortar round and a lot of other dangerous stuff. The 60-millimeter mortar was eventually determined to be inert, meaning it was free from explosives, and residents were allowed back into their homes. But in addition to that mortar scare, investigators recovered more than 300 marijuana plants being grown in the home, as well as 7 firearms, including an illegal assault rifle. This took place right across the street from Summer Fair Park in Turlock. It's right by the fairgrounds over there. And I took the camera out there to our reporter, Sabre, who was on the scene. And there were children playing in the park right across from this area that was sectioned off with caution tape. And the bomb squad was right there, parked on the street. So I don't know what those parents were thinking letting their kids play right there, but it was a pretty crazy scene to see. Luckily, nothing exploded. Obviously, everyone was safe, but it was pretty crazy. So 42-year-old Daniel Arce Sandoval, I think I might have butchered that last name. I'm sorry, Daniel. He's from Turlock. He was at the residence when the search warrant was served, unluckily for him. He was arrested and booked into the Stanislaus County Jail for cultivation and sales of marijuana and possession of an illegal assault rifle. And important to note here is that, yes, you can grow marijuana in your home now under Prop 64, but only 6 plants, not 300, Daniel. And as usual, you can read more about that story at turlockjournal.com or in the print edition of the Turlock Journal. And the story, both online and in the paper, includes pictures of all that stuff that was taken from the home. So if you're into guns, kind of cool pictures, but...
Or crime in general.
Yeah, crime in general. So check it out.
I'm not a math whiz, but 300 to 6, that seems like a big discrepancy.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit confused about the law.
And to note this too, the bomb squad was out there. That was a Tuesday, I believe. The following day, Wednesday, the bomb squad is out again, this time on Star Avenue in Turlock. This is by the old police station before they moved to the new location. Anyway, there was reports of a suspicious package, and the bomb squad was out there late into the night. There was no explosion, so clearly that package was not as suspicious as people thought it would be. But nonetheless, they came out. So a busy week for the bomb squad in Stanislaus County.
Yeah, hopefully getting that overtime pay.
I'm sure they do.
And luckily no one was hurt.
Absolutely no one was hurt. Now, we're going to break up the news headlines right now for a sports blast because Loud Eddie is on deck and he has a lot to talk about. We have state wrestling. We have baseball coming underway. We have some basketball teams still in the hunt. Honestly, there's so much stuff going on in the world of sports. I'm not going to try and pretend like I know what's going on. Let's get Eddie Ruiz right now, Loud Eddie, for this 209 Sports Blast.
Yo, what's happening, guys? Thank you so much for having me, Frankie and Angelina. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So, we're talking sports, obviously, and we're starting off with the Manteca Bulletin. So, this just happened. Actually, it was written at 2:18 in the morning, so a couple hours ago, believe it or not. So, check this out. Pelon Goal clinches Rippon's finals berth. So, after win at Corning, the Indians will host a NorCal title match Saturday. That's tomorrow, which is crazy because they ended up upsetting. I don't want to say upsetting, but they beat Hillmar in the section title game, something that was unexpected because Hillmar had only lost 1 game all year. So check that out at MantecaBulletin.com for the latest information, obviously, on them. And then for the section title game, they'll keep it up to date. So from there, we move on to Oakdale leader. 4 Oakdale wrestlers earned medals at state. This was written by Dennis Cruz. So obviously you can check that out at oakdaleleader.com. But check this out. Making some history, 8 Oakdale Mustangs traveled to the 2018 CIF State Wrestling Championship meet this past weekend in Bakersfield. I was there. And of the 8, 4 brought home medals, which is impressive. Obviously, Frankie, you grew up around wrestling, man. You know how tough it is. Heck of a year, man. Let's put it this way. Oakdale is a powerhouse. And I mean that. In the state, nationally, they can compete probably with anyone. So, what a heck of a year for them, to be honest with you. And from there, we move on to the Turlock Journal. And the biggest highlight for the Turlock Journal, I wrote this story obviously this week for Wednesday's issue, was the fact that Isaiah Perez of Pittman made history. So the best finish in program history as a state runner-up. Nobody in Pittman history prior to that had ever even been to the finals in a state wrestling championship, the meet. So that's just crazy. That is awesome. That is historical. Great year by Isaiah. And then Turlock came away with 3 medals. So how about that, Frank? Your alma mater, my friend. 3 medals. They tied the record, I believe. So it's the 4th time that they've been able to do this. So the fourth time they've been able to get 3 medals in a state wrestling tournament. And that's impressive stuff right there. So check all this stuff out at turlockjournal.com and obviously oakdaleleader.com. You can check out all the Oakdale stories, and then mantecabulletin.com for all the Manteca Bulletin stuff. And then from there, we close it off with the series courier. So this is crazy. This is something Frankie and Angelina are going to be talking about here soon. Gates from series, but he played for Modesto Christian football. Something happened. Something crazy. I don't want to get too much into details, but yeah, Frankie and Angelina can take it away. The fact is that this guy was one of the reasons that Modesto Christian football went to the section title game just a couple of months ago. So if that kind of doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what does. Stick around, though. Frankie and Angelina Martin, you guys got this, man. Talk about this because I want to hear what's going on, too.
All right, always great to hear what Eddie has to say. He is probably the most avid sports fan I've ever met in my life, and so this sports reporter gig of his is really apt. It's the perfect gig for him. So thanks again, Eddie. We look forward to seeing what Sports Blast headlines you got for us next week. Right now, though, we're going to jump right back into the news headlines, and our 5th headline of the day is written by Jason Campbell of the Manteca Bulletin and involves more than 100 cars and nearly 24 arrests after the San Joaquin County Multi-Agency Sideshow Task Force. Man, that is a mouthful. After that multi-agency sideshow task force broke up a sideshow that shut down multiple intersections in Stockton on Saturday, March 3rd. And before we move forward with the story, I might have to explain what a sideshow is.
I was about to ask.
No, it's not a carnival attraction. It's not a freak show. As most Bay Area hip-hop fans can tell you, a sideshow is a showcase of cars, often impromptu, that attracts large crowds who want to see cars spin and do donuts and all that good stuff, chirping tires, you know.
Have you ever seen videos of this?
Yeah.
It's insane. People are recording these cars spinning out, and the cars are just flying literally within inches of the crowd. Like, people die at these things.
And they tap them on the back
it's insane.
of the car.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but I kind of want to go to one just to say I did. Yeah.
We know it is dangerous. You mentioned people dying. One person was hit and injured, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. In this case, this sideshow was not impromptu. It was actually a coordinated event complete with judges that was advertised on Facebook. Participants shut down the intersections at Martin Luther King Boulevard and Hunter Street, Main Street and Golden Gate Avenue, and Pixie Drive and Kingsley Avenue. As we were saying, one man was hospitalized after he was hit with the back of a spinning car, and the multi-agency task force processed 100 vehicles, issued 47 citations, and impounded 10 vehicles. Now, you can read additional details about this incident because there's a lot more things that the multi-agency task force did. You can read all about it at mantecabulletin.com.
Oh, they're so mad. Their cars are their lives, and now they're impounded.
Well, 24 arrests from everywhere from Sacramento to the Bay Area, so a wide-ranging population of arrests and offenders. And yeah, sideshows that really came into prominence in the early 2000s. About when I was in high school, the whole Bay Area hyphy music scene was really exploding. You got sideshows going this way, that way.
What?
It's a lyric. People in the
okay.
know what's going on. So, yeah, sideshows. Apparently, it's a big problem in San Joaquin County now. It originated in Oakland, but now it's a big enough issue in this area that they had to create a multi-agency task force specifically for sideshows.
That's crazy. I did not know that. So sideshows are illegal, obviously. And you know what else is illegal?
What?
Robbing places.
Okay.
Takes us into our next headline out of Series. This was written by Series Courier editor Jeff Benziger. Robbery spree ends in teen's arrest. No, not a teen. 18-year-old Davian D'Angelo Gates faces 6 counts of armed robbery after he was arrested for a string of heists in the Ceres and Modesto area. After 6 different robberies at places like Liquor Locker on East Whitmore and the AM/PM on Hatch Road, Ceres police beefed up patrols around convenience stores. At 1:35 a.m. early Monday, Gates was confronted by officers at a quick stop in Southwest Ceres after those beefed up patrols noticed him getting ready to rob it again, or rob another store. He fled the scene when he saw the officers and in the process dropped a replica handgun. He was apprehended in a nearby backyard by officers, and he was found with the white mask he had been using in the holdups. They got his car keys from him and searched his car, and they also found another replica handgun in that car. So it's really sad to see someone so young, 18 years old, you could still be in high school, robbing these places. And we're really lucky that this didn't turn out to be another story of a police officer, shooting someone who didn't have an actual gun because they thought they did have a gun. Could have turned into someone's child being killed because he was carrying around fake guns, which is really sad.
You say child, but technically he's an adult.
Yeah.
Which is, you say teen, I don't think an 18-year-old. I think, 15, 16.
Yeah, well, I mean, to his mom, he's a baby.
Oh, yeah,
and
obviously,
he's putting his life in danger.
Yeah, lucky to him that things didn't go wrong because they very well could have. He's still alive, but he's going to be facing some time.
Yeah.
Multiple robberies, not good.
You can read more about his charges at theseriescourier.com or in the print edition of the Series Courier. And you can read some more details about that intense chase because I didn't give it all to you guys, but it got pretty crazy. They were jumping fences and going through backyards.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
And Jeff has a way with words, so I'll have to go read. I read a little bit of that story. I didn't read the full article. I'll have to go back after this podcast and check that out.
I will admit I took the term they beefed up their patrols from Jeff. So
Great adjective.
Yeah.
And we'll end the list of headlines with another Sabre Staffer story from the Turlock Journal, this one involving an attic fire that caused extensive damage to a Turlock home and displaced 9 residents on the night of Saturday, March 3rd. The fire was discovered shortly before 5 p.m. in the 500 block of Grant Avenue. The cause of the fire is still under investigation, but thankfully all 9 residents of the home were able to escape without injury. This is the 3rd fire to hit Turlock in the past 10 days, so firefighters have been busy. The first fire of the bunch was actually a series of fires that set ablaze several cypress trees on February 28th. Those fires were set in the area of Donley Park, as well as in areas around homes and residents in various parts of the town of Turlock. And the most recent fire actually took place yesterday on March 8th at the Sonic restaurant on West Main Avenue. The blaze was described as aggressive and is currently under investigation. You can read details about all 3 of these fires at turlockjournal.com. And side note, I used to work at that Sonic.
Yeah, so we are both personally affected by that fire. I love their mini corn dogs.
I'm more partial to their slushes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff.
That fire at Sonic happened late into the night, like 3 a.m., I believe. So no one was there, no injuries. They're not quite sure what caused the fire. I don't think it originated in the kitchen. From what I hear, smoke was billowing from the roof. So it sounds like another attic fire. Not quite sure what may have caused that.
Is the Sonic okay?
I honestly have no idea, but maybe we should go do some research, hit that drive-through, see if they're open. And if they are open,
I get mini corn dogs, you get a slush.
help them with our business.
And we see that all is well, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Fires.
Anyway. Enough about fast food. That is the end of our headlines. But before we get into the outro, I would like to mention one thing. One thing before we sign off. As a longtime resident of Turlock, I was saddened to hear about the death of a town legend.
Oh.
That's right. Most everybody knew him as Rockman, but his real name was Dwayne. Something I learned recently. I never really knew he had a first name. He's always
Dwayne
Rockman to me.
Giesbrecht.
I couldn't pronounce his last name, so I didn't even want to try.
Giesbrecht.
Thank you for that, Angelina. For those of you not in the know, not from Turlock, Rockman is a homeless individual, or was a homeless individual, who's lived in Turlock as long as I can remember. A Vietnam veteran. A lot of mythos around him. He was the Rockman. People said he was a war veteran, maybe a POW. He used to hit rocks together. He had that signature bandana rag on his head. I remember he had an electric scooter at one point.
Yeah, kind to everyone that he saw. Just a really nice man if you ever spoke to him.
He liked music. There's a lot of pictures with him with a guitar floating around right now. Mm-hmm. There's rumors about him being like really rich and choosing to live on the street because that's what that's the lifestyle he wanted. At one point, I don't know how he did it. He had a truck. He had a truck that he would park by the train tracks over here in Turlock, and it was his home for a while. This is an all-around legend, one of those urban legends. Everybody, for me, I'm 29, to my parents who are in their 50s, they all know Rockman, and so rest in peace to the Rockman of Turlock.
Yes, and one more thing. Frankie and I are going to the Celtic Fair in Sonora tomorrow for Studio 209.
Oh, yeah. Studio 209 fans, be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. If you know me, you know I'm a huge nerd and I love anything like Renaissance or anything like that. So I'm going to be pip, pip, cheerio, hightailing my way through that thing and just talking in a British accent to everyone. And
Suited and booted, huh?
Suited and booted.
Although, I don't know, Celtic, English, I don't think those really correspond.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Okay. Some of the things, though, if people are interested in watching this, we're going to be interviewing a female jouster.
Yes.
Which is going to be amazing. We're going to be interviewing some other individuals who reenact battles from the medieval times, from Celtic times. And then there are also some entertainers, some like bagpipe hard rock bands there. There's some fire eaters, some sword eaters, all that good stuff. So we will be there. That episode will be up on Thursday. We have a brand new YouTube channel for you to subscribe to. So please go check that out. Just type in Studio 209. You should be able to find us.
So should I talk with a Scottish accent? Is that more Celtic?
Let me hear your Scottish accent.
Oh, gosh. We don't have anything if we don't have our freedom.
Now let me hear your English accent.
We don't have anything if we don't have our freedom.
I say you stick with your English accent. Or you're not
How
your
about
English,
just
you're
American?
Yeah. Just stick with good old American. Stick with what you're good at.
Okay, let's sign off before I embarrass myself anymore.
Well, I think you've already done that. But she will do it even more on Saturday, which you can watch on Thursday at studio209.tv. So check that out. And thanks for listening to this week's podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, and you can also find us on the iTunes Store and on YouTube as well. And, of course, Facebook. You can find us 209 Magazine, Instagram 209 Magazine, and we'll be all over the place as far as Turlock Journal goes, Manteca Bulletin, Oakdale Leader, because those are our sister publications. They hold it down for us, and we want to hold it down for them. So please subscribe to those publications. We're talking Turlock Journal, Oakdale Leader, Manteca Bulletin, Sirius Courier, Riverbank News, and the Escalon Times. And, of course, don't forget about the 209 Magazine. So until next week, I'm Frankie Tovar.
I'm Angelina Martin, and I would like to congratulate San Francisco Giants first baseman Brandon Belt on hitting his first home run of spring training just now as we were recording this podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.
Have a good day.